this point, if you can just throw out your questions, whichever one of us has the answer to it, we'll do our best to answer.
I've got a number, but I don't know if other people will be able to do this too. But I'm going to start with what you were saying about Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about, comparing to other cities. Okay. And I appreciate what you did there, and I want to thank all three of you for coming here tonight and giving us information here. You said we should compare ourselves to like-sized cities. Okay, so introduction to what I want to say about that. Let me just say that all of us in Sierra Madre have had our water bills increased by 4% over the last 2 years because of the utility tax situation. And it will go up again another 2% next year. Okay. When that was posed on the ballot, part of that money was to go to bring the Sierra Madre Police Department salaries up commensurate with other communities. But I don't remember there being communities that had 11,500 people. So apparently it's approximately the population we have here in Sierra Madre. So what we're saying here on one hand is that we should, for water purposes, we should look at communities that are close to the population side, but for the police department pay rates, they did not look at communities that were that close to Sierra Madre.
I agree with you 100%. It wasn't City Hall management staff or the City Council that said, answer your question directly, that determined or wanted, or the proposition, Measure U, did not say that if the UUT passed, police officers would go up to the median. What you're thinking of is the police officers have circulated a separate initiative petition on their own. It was Measure P, I think, for police. Their initiative proposed increasing their salaries up to the median. That's not what the voters approved, and that's not what our Measure U. Our Measure U only said we would set aside, I think the increases were, I went from memory, it was like 7%, I think it was 9% the first year, 8% the second year, 7% the third year. Excuse me if I'm a little off, but it was not nearly enough to bring them to the median of the other cities, because we agree you have to compare like cities. So there's two initiatives, two competing initiatives, and the one you're referring to was the police officer initiative,
Okay.
which was not the one that was put out there by the City Council at the time, Measure B.
I did a little research today. I talked to the cities of Arcadia, Monrovia, South Pasadena, and Pasadena. And I just to share this, and again, as you say, it's not comparable, but in terms of their water rates, currently I have a meter charge of $40 on the bi-monthly bill. And in Monrovia, that would be $15.96. I pay $1.79 for the flat rate for water usage. Theirs is $1.45 for the flat rate. South Pasadena.
But that's monthly, so you need to multiply.
No, that is not monthly. The
1575.
145 is the 100 cubic feet of water.
No,
The
your meter
15
rate was
was
monthly.
monthly though. It
No.
was 830 on a bi-monthly. So it is still lower. I just want to clarify.
1596 is what it
It's
came.
monthly.
It's monthly though.
No, they gave me a figure of $7.88 or something like that. Maybe she gave me a wrong figure, but that was the figure.
James, do you remember that number when you did yours?
I don't recall off the top of my
We
head.
can get that and verify.
Yeah, okay, I mean, just, Pasadena, the meter charge is $51, which is more than what mine is currently. But at the end of this 3-year proposal, mine would be $56.
In the meantime, though, theirs would go up too, to
Yeah,
be fair.
okay. Their water charge is $1.06.
Yeah.
Okay. Interestingly enough, they abandoned the tiered system last year, but now they're going to reconsider the tiered system.
And now they're reconsidering also a seasonal one, where it's going to be
More in the
different
summer.
rate, a higher rate during low rate for the summer months, right?
They're
Right.
essentially trying to address the conservation question. During the wintertime, their rates are going to be higher than during the summertime,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
to make up so their revenues are flat. So that's why we've done all this research, which is why we don't mean to interrupt, but it's just information you wouldn't know to ask
Yeah.
when you call them.
Right.
You didn't ask, what's your winter rate?
Anyway, of the 4 communities I checked, only Pasadena has a higher rate, and they've got a 4-tier system that goes from 91 cents for the first 8 units per month. Okay. to $3.76 for their tier 4, okay, which is above 35 units. Now, one of the reasons why I'm here is because that's what concerns me. Right now, the proposal for Sierra Madre is very little difference between tier 1 and tier 3.
Yes.
But what's to prevent it from becoming greater? And for example, you look at SC&E's billing, and they have the baseline, which is like 13 cents a kilowatt hour. And their other one, the last one, is almost triple
Right.
that.
No, you're right.
So what's to protect the people here at Sierra Madre from having, once this is in place, from having the tier separation increase and for adding more tiers?
I can answer that.
Okay?
Let me back up a little bit. In order for a tiered system to really work most efficiently, you do want, in fact, if you look at the chart that Karen put up there comparing all the other systems, you saw those tall lines when you're getting to tier 2 and 3 and 4, because there needs to be a financial disincentive for you to get into tier 2, 3, and 4. We were very sensitive when we were working with putting the rate study together, we being staff and the city council. We were very sensitive to this being a change. Sierra Madre folks have not paid a tiered system for the water bill ever. So for this first 5-year period, let's introduce the concept of tiered rates, but leave the dollar differential between each tier small. You saw our chart was basically flat. If you go to your presentation, our tiered rates look flat on that chart because there's pennies difference between it. And it was for this 5-year period. Let everybody get used to. Karen didn't go into this, but you're going to be getting new water bills where you're going to see where you fall. With your current usage, it's going to be the same price per tier, but you're going to see where you fall, how much water you use graphically in each. But then we'll do a new rate study for the next 5 years, and there'll be another Prop 218 and public hearing process and mail notices, so you'll know what's being
Every
proposed.
time that they
Every
change the
time.
structure,
Every time,
so
so
that
it's
they
not
want to add more
something,
tiers and so forth.
Right.
All that. will be
every
fine.
time it'll go back to this whole 218 where you'll receive a mail notice of what we're doing. It has to happen at a public hearing and a council meeting, so you'll be notified if there's any changes. You had other questions, or you want
You, in the beginning, said that we could contact you and have you project our, I did that for my last water bill, and I projected it out to the 5th year, and my water bill would go from, I got a large lot. The water would go, and that includes the charge for the meter and everything, from $188 to $253.
at the end of the 5 years?
Yeah, and it's increased about 35%.
Yeah.
That's not, and if you factor in the 2% increase in utility that's going to affect next year, then we're talking about 37% increase. Which brings me to the, if anybody can address that one. Supposedly the utility tax will step down again.
I can, oh, you mentioned that earlier.
When does that start and how long does it take to step back down to 6%?
I meant to mention this, and I apologize. When it comes to the utility users tax, when the council, at a previous council meeting, they had already given the staff direction that if the rate increase was approved, this last one that didn't get approved, that the UUT, the utility user tax rate on water, was adjusted downward, so that the total revenue that we get right now from water portion of the UUT doesn't increase because of an increase in the water rates. So I can explain that a little differently because I always try to think of a better way to explain this. But basically, they wanted the UUT rate to decrease on the water, portion,
Right.
so that we wouldn't see an increase in utility user tax revenue because of our increase in the water bill. The council already told us to do that. And in the meantime, the water rate increase didn't get approved, so your UUT on your water bill, don't look, it's going to be the same percentage. The second thing the council's done is this year, the rate could have gone up another 2%, but the council's already decided to not let it go up the next 2%, so it's remaining at the previous year's rate. And you're correct, I want to say it's 2014, 2016, when it goes all the way back. It just like it was supposed to step up, it will gradually step down a year at a time to the 6%, 8% We're going to be 6% raise.
Yeah.
It'll gradually step down, and I think the year that it's finally back at the original 6 or 8%, it's like 2014, 2015. But if we can contact you and give you the
That's fine. I just wanted to have, if it
And
was
in the
already fixed as
meantime-
to when that would begin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fixed.
Okay.
It is fixed as to when that step down occurs.
Okay.
The council will decide at that point, do they go out for another? That does have to be voted on at a municipal election, where you all go to the polling places to vote. Before then, the council will decide whether or not that revenue is still necessary, and whether or not we need to hold another election to continue that.
And forgive me if I'm telling you something everybody already knows, but I want to clarify that we're not confusing that the utility users tax is a general fund tax. It pays for the police department, the fire department, the library. Remember, I talked about these are separate funds. These taxes can't have anything to do with what's happening in the water fund. So whatever we collect in utility users tax is only in the general fund. It's not helping or hurting or impacting the water fund. They're separate funds, separate savings accounts, so to speak. Anybody else have any questions?
We thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you. Giving us your
If
time.
you'd like, I know we haven't, if we would like to hear from you regarding your thoughts on future increases. If you feel more comfortable, I can ask Mr. Coburn to turn off the cameras. I don't know if this